Hey, Ryan. Coach
How you
Key
doing?
has his favorite quote about imposing your will on other men and stuff, and you guys certainly did that against Duke. How did that feel to kind of run the football like that and be able to get downhill on teams and put up that many points?
Well, it's always a great feeling. It's always a great feeling to be able to move guys. To put up that many yards is really a good accomplishment for an offensive line. But that's what we're trying to do every game, and that's the standard that we're trying to set as an offensive line. And we're just trying to improve every day to get better at running the ball, better at passing the ball. But above all else, the offensive line loves to run the ball. We like to, like you said, we like to displace people against their will. And there's nothing more fun than that as an offensive lineman. There's nothing more fun than that in football. And so that's something that we're proud about, but something that we've really worked on to improve, to get everybody on the same page and to get everybody working together. I mean, that's not a one-person thing. That's not a five-person thing. You got to have everybody on the same page, the running backs included, the quarterbacks included, even the wide receivers. A lot of people don't give the wide receivers credit, but they're helping there too. But the offensive line has really improved over the season in our run game and our pass game. But I think, as you can see, we're really pushing forward in the run game, and we just got to keep getting better. There's things that we got to improve on, things that we did well, things that we didn't do well, and we got to make sure that we improve on those things when we're going into this week.
Next question comes from Rod McKenzie from 247 Sports.
Hey, Ryan. Good morning. You got to see Charlie Clark on your right and Kenny Cooper on your left get quite a few reps last Saturday night. What did you see from them?
Absolutely. They played really hard. They played great. They did a good job, really stepping up and really just knew their assignments, knew their jobs. It was great playing with them. It wasn't any different, and you have Kenny on the left. Kenny can always be funny. Really great player, really good at moving guys. And so that was great to have him in there. Great to have Charlie in there and kind of seeing those dynamics, feeling those dynamics with those different guys. And, there really wasn't any sort of difference. And so that's great, because that's a testament to Coach Key. He's done a really good job at making sure everybody knows what to do. Everybody can jump in at a moment's notice if one guy's down and another guy's up. And that's really been kind of the motto. That's a thing for an offensive line to show that you're really a cohesive unit is when one guy can't go, especially with COVID right now, that's really important. Then another guy can step up and there's a seamless transition there. And I think that's something that we've done very well over the season. And I think that's something that we did very well over the last week in the Duke game. And so that's something that I see that's really impressive by those two guys, is being able to step up. Kenny he's played a lot of different positions. Charlie, played both tackles. And so that's impressive for those guys to be able to step in those situations and play really well and do their jobs and do them seamlessly, do them well.
Next question comes from Ken Segura from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution.
How you doing, Ken?
Hey, Ryan, you've mentioned a few times, I think, just how much you've enjoyed playing for Coach Key. And I'm curious, can you name a couple ways in which you feel like you've gotten better, whether it's a technique or understanding the game that you've benefited from being with him?
Absolutely. There's quite a few. Technique would be the first thing, not just in the pass game, but also in the run game. I think he's also helped me improve mentally. There's a lot to learn in the game of football, and you're always learning. And I think he's done a tremendous job of teaching me about not only the offensive line side of the mentality of the game of football, but also the mental aspect of the entire game of football, whether that's looking at the big picture from an offensive perspective or even a defensive perspective. And so that's something that I've really taken away is he's taught me a lot of technique, but he's also taught me a lot about the mental side of the game of football. And just sitting down in the film room, it's a daily process of trying to get better every day. And Coach Key pushes you. Coach Key always has something that you can improve on, and he points it out. And I think that's a great thing. That as an asset to Georgia Tech that not a lot of places have is somebody like Coach Key that really understands the game of football in all aspects and can coach the technique, but can also coach the mental aspect. And with that, I've also improved from a physical standpoint. You talk about the strength staff, Coach Lou, and all his staff have really helped me improve my physicality, get bigger, get stronger, get faster, and so that's another aspect of that. But looking at the staff in general, I'd say there has been great improvement in a lot of aspects of the game of football, and I'm really proud to be here and really happy that those guys have been in my life and have been helping me improve my game over the past 11 months. Yeah.
Another question from the AJC, this time from Bailey Johnson.
Hey Ryan, at this point you guys have been going for a while, still have a solid couple weeks left. I'm just wondering how practices maybe look different now than they did at the beginning of the season.
Well, I can tell you one thing. They're a little bit colder, but other than that, the practice is the same. There's always the aspect that you have people moving around. You have different people in different positions, but we're still doing the same thing. You have the coaches doing the same process. The process is what they preach and they teach. And that's really true. You're always going to have different things in practice, different periods and whatnot and the other, but the preparation for the game is the same. And we try to approach that every week. You got to prepare the same way, whether it's one team or the other. And really you're trying to improve yourself. You're trying to get yourself prepared for the other team, not prepare for the other team. You're trying to prepare yourself. And it doesn't sound like there's much of a difference, but it really is. You're focusing on yourself, and a lot of people will think when you get to the end of the year, things change in practice, and that may be true a little bit in the case that you may lighten the load on some of the players. You may take a little bit more hits off because you're further down in the year, but at the same time, the preparation doesn't change, and I think that's something that the coaches have really been preaching on and really doing a good job at, is making sure that we start the same process over again every week by week. And really just go through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to get prepared for the team that we're playing, but really get ourselves prepared and focus on ourselves improving and getting better every day and every week.
Time for a couple more for Ryan. We'll start with one from Rod McKenzie from 247 Sports.
Hey, Ryan. Coach Patino made it down to the sidelines for the first time this year. Did the offensive lineman have any interaction with him? And if so, what was that like?
Absolutely. It was great to have him on the sideline. It's a fun dynamic to have your offensive coordinator down the sideline. And obviously there's different situations, that I've played in and everything. And I will say having an offensive coordinator on the sideline is a really fun one. He really gets engaged, and he really is fun when coming off the sideline. Really kind of get the direct contact with the offensive coordinator and kind of get him involved in everything. It's not just on a headset. It's not a guy in the box, and it's back and forth. It's really just right there, eye to eye. And so it goes a little bit faster. And it's really interesting dynamic to have him on the sideline. But to speak on that generally, I think it was great. It was to have him on the sideline was great. It was a great energy, and really valuable asset there, and a nice change up.
Okay, we'll do two more quick ones for Ryan. We'll start with one from Kelly Quinlan, and then we'll finish up with one from Ken Segura.
Hey, Ryan, you guys play a lot of even fronts, and you get an odd front.
I lost you there, bud.
Kelly, that was my fault. If you can unmute. Sorry about that.
No problem. Ryan, you guys play a lot of even fronts. You're playing an odd front with the McNeil kid, who's pretty dynamic at nose tackle. What kind of challenge is it when you play these teams with a big nose tackle, and kind of how does that, I guess, affect your what you do week to week versus maybe an even front team?
Yeah, absolutely. The odd game does change it up from 4 down front. But at the same time, when you're looking at it from a defense, you got 11 guys on the field, and whether you're moving around a players and you're running a 3-4 or 4-3, every job still has to be done by the defense. And so when you look at it from that point of view, when you look at it almost like a chess point of view, right, and you think, well, you're at some point, your queen's protected by your pawns, but now it's protected by your bishop. It's the same concept. You're moving people around, but you still have the same jobs that you have to get done. And so when you look at it from a job point of view, it really starts to make sense instead of looking at it from an offensive point of view and saying, well, we've got a different defense that we're going, instead of saying, oh, well, we still have a contained player, right? And this guy's got to be the contained player. The game of defense, the game of football, is very simple when you look at it just from a overarching point of view. But when you look at it from a small point of view, it can be complex. And so the offense that we go into this game with, it's still the same thing. We still prepare the same way, right? You may be blocking different guys and may have a different front, but at the same time, you're still going to have the same principles. You're still going to have the same jobs, and that's one of the things that is really great about the offensive coordinator that we got, and the offensive line coach, Coach Patino and Coach Key. Really do a great job of putting that into a big perspective and making sure that you see the big picture, not necessarily just the guy that you're blocking, but you see the grand picture of what defense you're blocking. And that's really the important thing behind that. And so that's something that we've been really preaching on over the week, is making sure that we understand the defense, understand what's going on. And that's what we try to do every week. We don't just try to understand our assignments, because the assignments can change, the defense can change. And if you understand exactly what you're blocking versus what the offense is doing, if you understand the what but not the why, then when the what changes, you're not going to be able to do the what. So if you understand the why and the what changes, then you can still do the what because you understand the why.
Awesome. That's the first time I believe I've heard anyone talk about the difference between the bishop and the pawn protecting the queen. So that was awesome, Ryan.
Well,
so,
I'm not a great chess player, but
Ryan, thanks so much. Everybody, give us just a second, and we'll get everything disinfected and ready for Dontae. Hold on, I got that. Okay, everybody, our next student athlete is running back Dontae Smith. We'll go ahead and open it right up for questions for Dontae. Please use the raise hand function within Zoom, and we'll call on people individually, beginning with Kelly Quinlan from Rivals.
Hey, Dontae.
Okay.
Was it fun getting a chance to get out there and score some touchdowns and kind of get in the open field again? I imagine that it's tough. You guys are all competitors, kind of waiting your turn, and you got a chance to really make the most of your opportunities on Saturday.
It was definitely a great feeling. All week through practice, we preach, practice how you would play if you were up. So we focus on that. So when your time comes and you make a big play, it's nothing new. It's just what you've done in practice, and you just translate it onto the field. So it's just like you're already trained to do that. Now it's happening in the game. So that's the only difference, is the time that it happens.
Next question comes from Ken Segura from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution.
Hey, Dontae. I kind of want to ask you a little bit about that. One thing that Coach Collins and Coach Patino have mentioned other times is just what a good job Coach Choice does in keeping all of you guys engaged and ready to go. And I think what you're saying, makes sense of, Coach telling you be ready to go, but I think it's probably a lot of times it's hard to actually believe it and still give the energy, knowing that, probably Jameer's going to get most of the carries or Jordan. But like, what happens in that room that enables all of you guys to be so excited for each other and to be so ready?
In the running back room, we make it a point to be the best. And if you want to have the best room in the conference in the country, then everybody in that room has to be playing at their best, and no one can slack off. So we make it a point as a room to be the best, but not only does coach and the players make it a point, but then the player, us the players, we take it into our own hands to make sure nobody falls off. There's no drop off between anybody. Everybody goes hard. Everybody knows what they're doing. If somebody's slacking off, we make sure they pick it up. And that's just what we try to do on a consistent basis, just to make sure that we just want to be the best. So when you want to be the best, I mean, and everybody in the room wants to be the best, you know, it just, and we're all together, it makes us a good room.
Next question comes from Bailey Johnson from the AJC.
Hey, Dontae, you guys have been practicing for, I think, going on 4 months now and still have a solid couple weeks left. I'm just sort of wondering, like, how practices are going, how you guys are feeling physically at this point, sort of just like your thoughts on the season being longer as a whole.
Of course, towards the end of the season, you're gonna have some bumps and bruises. You just have to constantly be in the training room, and just whatever you're hurting, or if you're hurting somewhere, you just have to do your best to get better. But as far as practice, it's still the same. You know, we might take off a little bit because it's late in the season, and we might not hit as much, but everything from like script wise is the same. And speed wise, we still go hard. We still basically do everything that we would do early in the season. It's just you take a little bit off, so people's bodies aren't as bad as they could be if we were just, you know, full pads hitting and everything throughout the whole year.
Next question from Rod McKenzie from 247 Sports.
Hey, Dontae, you get a lot of time out on special teams running up and down the field. Does that help you prepare for when your number's called to go in at running back?
Definitely. Ever since I was in high school, I've always enjoyed being on special teams, just because it's either you're on kickoff or kickoff return, but you're going to be on the field the first play of the game. So you get your hits in, you get your running in, you get the feel for the game. So I would say that being on special teams does get me going for the game. And especially in a game like Duke, when we're kicking off a lot and people are scoring, so we're kicking, we're punting, and I'm basically on a lot of most of the special teams. So anytime special teams on the field, I'm on the field before I play running back, and I feel like it gets my body ready more than anything. It lets me just like get my muscles going, contact going, and then mentally, you know, you get a feel for the game, like how some players are, the speed of the game, how and really from special teams, you can tell how the team is. So how hard they go on special teams would tell you how hard, you know, their offensive defense is, in my opinion.
We've got time for a few more for Dontae. We'll go ahead and take the ones that are in queue, starting with Kelly Quinlan.
Dontae, you played in some weird weather games, I'm sure, in cold weather in high school up in Tennessee. The forecast as of now is for something like that. Kind of what do you tell some of the guys who aren't used to that? And do you like playing in cold weather? Do you like playing football when it's kind of wet or cold out?
I like playing football when it's cold out, just for the fact that nobody else likes it. So it makes my job easier. When people are cold, they move around slow. They're not all the way awake. They're not as active as they would when they're hot. So that tells me if I turn up a notch, then, you know, it's a big, you know, gap right there. So I just try to, you know, it's all mental. When it's cold, it's mental. And then you slap on some Vaseline on your arms, the wind can't really touch you. You should be good.
Next one comes from Bailey Johnson from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution.
I know y'all played dodgeball yesterday. You've played kickball some. Just sort of how have those gone and the atmosphere of that, I guess.
So when we did those kind of things, that was when we didn't have a game that week, and I feel like it was just another way for us to come together, also be socially distanced in the pandemic, but we come together and have fun, because a lot of times when we're in that, you know, we practice and then we live separately, and then it's not the same as when you have a game, but then you throw in some kickball and some other stuff, and then everyone's enjoying it, and then it doesn't keep everybody in that, you know, we're not playing, this is boring. You throw something in there that excites the players, and then, you know, the next week we have a game, so it just builds into that.
And our last one from Dontae is from Ken Segura, also from the AJC.
Hey, Dontae, I had another question for you about the running back group. Can you kind of give me some insight into the personalities in that group, like who's the one doing the joking, who's quiet, who has all the answers, that kind of thing?
So our room is really different. It's, you have, of course, Jameer's a little quiet. JP's quiet sometimes. Jemias cracks jokes. We all answer questions. Tony Emerson, he's funny. And Spence, he kind of talks, and then Bruce but it's really Coach Choice is the jokester of the room. When we're about business, but we also have fun in that room. And Coach usually leads us. When it comes to joking, Coach Choice is funny.
All right, Dontae, thank you very much. Everybody give us just a second here and we'll bring David Curry in. You ready to go, David?
Yes, sir.
All right. We'll go ahead and start with our last student athlete for the day, senior linebacker David Curry. Any questions for David? Please use the raise hand function within Zoom. We'll call on people individually, beginning with Kelly Quinlan from Rivals.
Hey, David. You had a tremendous game in terms of run defense against Duke, and it seemed like you really put it all together. What was going on that led to such strong performance against them?
I guess you could say the D lineman played really well, but it's just the plays came to me. There's been a lot of times this season that I've played really, really good football that just the plays haven't come my way, or that, just the production hasn't been able to be there. Luckily, when you're around the ball as much as a guy like me is, it's a lot of times good things are going to happen. And I was just blessed to have a D line that played super well, and they kept the offensive lineman off me. And of course, I prepared super well, and I knew where the ball. Me and Quez both knew where the ball was going before they even did it. So it was a cool game.
Next question comes from Rod McKenzie from 247 Sports.
Hey, David, how important was those 2 or 3 weeks off for you guys to prepare for what you were able to do against Duke?
Well, those 2-3 weeks off was kind of a weird time for a lot of people in this program. Is just, you prepare, and then you get canceled. Prepare, you get canceled. So it's kind of, you have to approach it as a professional and know that every single week you got to prepare, whether you're not uncertain you're going to play or not. And when we finally got we were going to play Duke and had a good understanding that it was going to happen, that we were all fired up, and just having those 3-4 weeks to, of course, we're still practicing very hard, whether, when Coach Collins is keeping it fun, we're playing dodgeball, we're playing this, but we're still practicing very hard. But at the same time, not having those, not having your body get beat up in those games, I think definitely helped us out. And a lot of guys were very fresh for the game.
Next question comes from Bailey Johnson from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution.
Hey, David. Jeff was telling us yesterday that you guys were in the spider pads yesterday. What sort of difference does that make physically at this point in the season?
Well, I mean, it helps the bigger guys, and tremendously, because you're not just pounding on each other anymore. We definitely still will, depending on which week it is, we'll definitely still put on shoulder pads sometimes. But for us now, it's like you've gotten your body's a little bit more beat up now, and now it's more about just keeping you healthy, and you don't have to really hit each other as much anymore. It's about fitting everything right, still attacking the football on defense. We're focusing on attacking the ball more and more and more, and it's keeping guys healthy.
Next question comes from Ken Segura, also from the AJC.
Hey, David, I think you're coming to the end of the line, six years. I'm curious how much that has been on your mind a little bit.
To be honest with you, I hadn't really thought about it until probably last week. It's just I've just been so blessed to go to such a great institute, and these coaches, these, the academic staff, the training staff, they all just bought in and believed in me and always have. And, it's just when I think about it, could potentially be my last few games. It's bittersweet, and I'm just, I'm going to try to do everything that I can to finish this season out and have us get to a winning record.
Another question from Kelly Quinlan.
David, you guys haven't played in a ton of cold weather games. It's supposed to be kind of miserable. It's supposed to be miserable in Raleigh. Kind of how does that impact the game, and do you like playing when it's cold out?
Well, it's been miserable the past two, this morning and yesterday, so I think we're getting used to that. But you love football, you play in any weather, and I think it can affect some guys, but these coaches, of course, they're always bringing the juice, they're always bringing the energy, they're not letting you get away with that excuse. So I think we've been practicing in the stadium, we are in the cold, so I think I wouldn't say we're going to be used to it, but we're definitely going to be accumulated to it. So,
another question from Rod McKenzie.
Hey, David, what will it be like for you guys going up against a left-handed quarterback in Bailey Hockman when you're used to seeing right-handed quarterbacks week after week?
I don't think it changes as much as you think it is. It's just whether you're on your blitz patterns or you're attacking him, you're attacking a different side of the ball. So, his blind spots on the opposite side of the ball, and, potentially where, in certain coverages, defenses, whatever, which way you flush him, all that kind of stuff. Just for every other team, like it does for every other team, it just changes a little bit. But other than that, he's just a quarterback.
Question from Ken Segura.
Hey, David. I was working on something about Jalen Camp, and I know he's obviously another side of the ball, but you've been a teammate of his for a while. I'm curious, kind of, what can you tell us about him that maybe you don't see just seeing him every Saturday?
Well, he's definitely one of the hardest workers. I think everybody knows that he's one of the hardest workers in the building. He's a great guy. He's a very smart man, excuse me. And, he's such a good teammate. He's always positive. You never see him without a smile on his face. And, except for on Saturdays, because I think he stepped up and he's definitely, I think he's lowered his shoulder on some people, which, of guys like me on defense, we love that stuff. So, it's he's such a good, enthusiastic, and fun person to watch when you're on defense, because he's such a big, dominant presence. And it's cool to have that guy on your side instead of the other sideline. So, it's just love that guy.
Any more questions for David? Okay, if not, David, thank you so much. Appreciate you doing this today, and everybody on the call, we appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to everybody on Saturday night in Raleigh.
Thanks.